Hello, it's Oren Prunken, and today I want to talk about the hard way to get the things you want. So the last time I talked on this, I was talking about my motivations and why I got into what I'm currently doing. And it's been a really long journey. And for you, you're going to have motivations for why you're doing this. And I suspect, and that's what I predicted in the last episode, is that those motivations are going to be really similar to mine when you break it down and ask why you actually want to have those things. So as I said, today I really want to talk about the hard way to go about getting those things. And boy, do I know the hard way. I have been doing this game for about 20 plus years and I know how not to do things. So as I said in that previous episode, I really wanted to buy stuff, and the only way I needed to go buy stuff was to earn money, and I only had a very limited earning capacity because I was getting pocket money. At the very peak of my pocket money earning journey, I was getting $5 a week, and that was because I was doing chores and errands for my parents. It wasn't just for free for being alive, it was actually because they made me work for it. And I'm not going to get into the details of that, but I actually did learn a lot of really valuable lessons around money and the value of money and how money is created and exchanged. But when I had reached that earning capacity, I was still pretty young. So in South Australia, you couldn't get a job until you were 14 3/4. So I decided to go out and see what other ways I could earn money. And some of those ways, I started collecting cans and bottles. South Australia had a recycling scheme, and I remember going to my grandma's house, and she lived in North Adelaide at the top of Montefiore Hill, and I'd bring Hessian sacks to her house, and at the end of the cricket during the summer on Sunday afternoons, SACA would open up the back gates to allow free entry into the cricket. So I would go with my grandma at the time that they opened the gates at Sunday afternoon and walk in with the Hessian sacks and go across the old mound underneath the old scoreboard and pick up as many bottles, soft drinks and alcohol bottles and cans that I possibly fit in. And we would be pulling up, 3 or 4, even 5 Hessian sacks up the hill to her house. Then we put them in the boot of her car and we take them down to the recycling depot down in Theberton and cash them all in. And, I was pulling in quite a bit of money for a kid doing that. The other stuff that I used to do was I'd buy trading cards, and I'd buy the boxes and packets of trading cards, and I'd rip them all open and sort them into valuable sets and find valuable cards and sell trading cards, not only to kids at school, but also they used to, back in the early 90s, have a trading card shows. So I'd hire a table as a kid, as a freaking kid, hire a table at these shows where there were all these adults, and I'd set up a table and I'd just start selling all of these trading cards that I had put into value orders. I then, through my uncle, so my uncle used to work at Adelaide University in the med school doing hyperbaric medicine, and one of his colleagues was a software engineer, and this is the time when the internet was becoming open to early adopters, and he knew how to code in HTML and later on CSS. So I went in, I think I spent definitely at least one day, but 2 days, and he taught me the basics of HTML and CSS, and then I used all those skills over the next couple of years to go out and build websites. So I built websites obviously around the music and ice hockey categories, because that's what I was into. I built websites for other people that were in my hockey teams that were running commercial stores. I built my uncle, who was selling books online at the time, a book website. I set up a drumming website that I charged money for on a subscription basis. I did all of these things, and just going back to my other uncle who was selling books online, I kind of wish I stuck at that, because not that iteration, but an iteration of that could have been an Amazon, and this is well and truly before Amazon. So I was doing all this stuff for cash, I was finding vendors that needed an online presence and started selling them websites. I got to 14.75 and I got my first job. I actually was delivering junk mail before that, and that taught me a lot of lessons. But then I got my first job in sales, doing retail sales at Big W. And then I went along and did a whole bunch of other jobs. And I think I've done the count now, and I think I've done 33 different businesses or jobs, and about 18 of them. So more than 50% of all of the things I've done for money have been businesses. So throughout all of that, particularly the businesses, I did some stuff and then learnt some stuff and then tried different things to try to work out what would work in terms of selling things in roles that I was doing, sales roles and then later marketing roles. And that's been majority of the jobs I've had. Was already around other people teaching me something, then going through the same process of going and trying it out and then learning and then reiterating. But because of Adelaide, I didn't have a whole bunch of high-level coaches or teachers in that respect. I was just getting trained on the job. And honestly, the training was really, really basic. And how it kind of went was all of the training and stuff that I was learning was around, tactics and techniques of like, if you want to learn how to do cold calling, this is what you need to do. You need to do A, B, and C. And if you want to learn how to ask for the close, you do, X, Y, and Z, and so on. It was very, very prescriptive of the tactics and techniques you as a salesperson or you as a business owner should be doing, and never really got into the real nature of what selling and marketing, and then on the flip side, what buying is all about. And throughout that time, I was an average salesperson. I followed the protocol that people were teaching me, and I was just an average salesperson. You got average training, got average sales results, and this is for a really long time. Like, I wasn't awesome, and I just wasn't bad. It was just pretty average. And going through those roles as an average salesperson is really frustrating. And if you are in your business now as a small business owner or an entrepreneur and you're just getting average results with your selling, I totally know where you've been. Like, it's really frustrating. You're not necessarily spinning your wheels, but you're not hitting home runs here and there. So I definitely know what that's all about. And it's really difficult. So what I think I'll do in the next episode is kind of go through what I learned through those years, and then how that turned into being, how I turned that into being kind of an easier way, not even an easier way, a far easier way to go sell. So hopefully this episode, and I think it's up to about 8 or 9 minutes now, gives you some clue about where my motivations stem from. But I already covered that. But from those motivations, what I was actually doing and how that was, really difficult and frustrating. But I want to kind of go into next where and how I worked out how to do this in an easier and smarter way. So if you are in that position and things aren't working, you're getting average results and you're frustrated, finding things difficult, do not worry. I've been there and I've done that, and I know exactly what position you're in, and I would love to hear from you actually, for you to tell me what kinds of stuff you've done and what kinds of things you feel like you are hitting a brick wall with, and I'd love to hear from you. So until next time, we will talk soon.